Hi everybody, I am Moira Ramsey and I am teaching this class on drape patterning for sleeves or sleevels. They are formerly known as, in this house, as sleevels because sleeves are evil. So I'm making that and I'm going to be using a stapler for fitting because I generally pattern myself and this is the only way I can do it effectively. So, my volunteer for who's going to be in frame with me. Oh, you need your fabric too.
My fabric.
So
Okay.
we're doing sleeves, and I'm going to be focusing on 14th century sleeve, or basically a generic sleeve pattern that is 14th, 15th, 16th century.
Is that where the seam is?
Yeah, and I follow bone structure when I drape pattern. And so we're going to build it around the socket, and then we're going to follow the bone structure for the seam line. So we start with, I'm going to start with, and I'm not going to staple you per se. If my husband were in the room, different story. So we're just going to go down because I like to get a little bit of extra. You don't mind if I?
No.
Just arbitrarily start going into the fabric. That's why I brought this one.
But I don't know about later, but I know in the 14th century you see some sleeves that come all the way down to like the knuckles.
And even then, some come all the way over.
And then you can fold them back.
Some even have fringe. It's really odd. I wouldn't personally do the whole petal floral with fringe on top, but it's like the more useless to make your hands, the better. Mm-hmm. Obviously, it's like, nails in some cultures. The longer your nails, the more useless you are.
Yeah. Which means the more wealth you have, the more status you have. You don't have to be useful.
Yeah, you have people to do that work for you.
Yeah.
So, all right. So we're going to start. And so sleeves, they're meant to have full mobility. They're meant to be able to actually work in them. I have full range of motion on anything I make for myself, so I figure if I get to work it out on me, I should be able to work it out on other people effectively. So I'm going to start, and I'm just going to do a quick pin. I'm going to get friendly with my friend here.
And you're both vaccinated.
Fully vaccinated. Fully boosted.
I've been home alone for a number of days, so I know I haven't been exposed to anybody. So I'm going around the socket here.
You want to turn like 3/4? Yeah.
So I'm going to just start here.
And this is also just so that I can see what you're doing.
And I'm going to leave it open on the bottom for now. I needed to just find I should be further out. The sleeve the shirt just literally moved. I was like, whoa, wait, what happened there? So I always start inside where the seam would go. Coming up here, and I want it secure.
And you're not factoring any seam allowance into this yet. You're
not yet, and it will be factored in. I'm trying to get the basic shape, and these are I pattern in the land of Ish. I can't begin to tell you what somebody's measurements are. I don't draft pattern. I don't geometry at all. Well, Britt, if you're watching this, I still don't geometry. Just letting you know. There's a joke there, and I'll explain it someday. So now drape patterning can be done with pins, but
so you brought that all the way under her arm and up to the back.
And I'll be making adjustments shortly. I'm wanting to find the basic premise for the arm. Yeah, and that's actually perfect. Let your arm just rest naturally. I want it to be relaxed and natural. Okay. I'll have you start doing yoga moves in a moment.
You didn't know calisthenics were going to be part of this.
Hey. I have patterned for people who have insisted that they wanted the ability, not that they did it, but they wanted to know they had the ability to move as if they were doing yoga in their garb. They absolutely wanted it, like, to be wearing a t-shirt or something with stretch. And if I can manage that, I think that's a pretty decent deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, now, normally I'd be pinning. And I don't have to use a stapler. I just kind of like the idea of it. Makes me happy thinking about it. So, actually, I'm going to start here. And then I'll take a pair of scissors.
As soon as I let go, it slips.
We'll take you right back into place. So I'm doing, because there's just still a bit too much fabric.
Put some blood in my hand.
I'm jealous of your wall of shears. That's fantastic.
I love my wall of shears. All right.
I have golds. I have 4 sets of shears now. Can I find them all at the same time? No.
I went and bought a new pair of gingers because I couldn't find mine and I couldn't find Scott's. And I knew that they were probably somewhere together. I packed them together when we moved. Could not find them for months. Went, bought a new pair. The week later, I found them, and they were in a drawer I had looked in a dozen times. They were just blending in with the other stuff in the drawer.
I have 2 sets of Fiskars that are ergonomic, so they,
Ooh.
as I squeeze, so even when my carpal tunnel is flaring, I can still use them, which is really awesome.
Just using the stapler.
Think I can find them when I need them? Nope.
Of course not.
This also helps me find seam allowance a little more easily. Because if you can move effectively. Now, mind you, please understand, unless it is critical to the fabric itself, like you have a fabric that is directional. Well, if I'm using a plain fabric, I don't fuss as much with being on grain. They weren't as conscientious about grain lines for everyday clothes. If you have a fabric that has a distinct design line and grain line, that is something to consider. But I'm just throwing this on her and getting a good shape, because you can adjust grain lines on the fabric itself.
Sure.
Once you get the pattern drawn.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, if I were using a very structured weave, and I have discovered the hard way that the type of weave matters. So when you're patterning in a soft cotton, and you move it over to a very silk is very no give. So you go from a very soft give to a no give fabric. Completely changes the dynamic of the fit. So you really have to pay attention to what you're wanting to make from your pattern and adjust accordingly.
I won't ever have to worry about sewing it in silk. I can guarantee that.
You never know when you're going to suddenly need Shantung silk sleeves.
But even linen
I'll
has
come
a
back
really...
and shoot it. I have friends who know how to work with that stuff.
You know people.
Right. And I know my limits.
So I'm just going to whack off a bunch of fabric here because it's not necessary. These are really excessively sharp, so don't swing back towards me. I'm a mad woman with a pair of shears.
Good for it. Good. Scraps would be great for making a mask.
Yes. Pattern drafting is not for the faint of heart. And I mean, and I'm not saying you can't do it. Anybody can do it. If I can learn it, anybody can learn it. But you have to be willing for things to not look good until they look good.
You mean draping?
Draping is not for patterning. Patterning is not for the faint of heart. because you wind up with a fair amount of waste as you go through.
Yes.
When I'm fitting myself, it takes me any number of permutations. My 12th night garb, that was weeks of work. And I'm very thankful I have friends who love me enough to help me with that stuff. Alright.
There were a couple of posts about almost crying about those sleeves on that one.
Well, I just used my sleeve pattern for my dress. I was okay with that. But like my Italian that I wore a few years back, I wore it to Three Mountains Honor Feast. It's like trying to remember which event I wore it to. And those I accidentally made myself 2 less sleeves.
Oh no.
When I had made them originally.
Oh,
because I have that capacity. Oh, Anita, that's another fail of mine. From the...
Yeah.
Yeah. I have decades and I have decades of glorious failures. It is astounding how much, and I do actually laugh and find them funny. I really do. Because I've learned something from every single time I have messed something up.
Modern sleeves are when I've gotten, there's a type of sleeve called a tulip.
I love
Real
those sleeves.
simple dress. I have put those sleeves on that thing 4 times, and I can't get them to match. I don't care if they are right or wrong, just so long as they match. No. I took them off so often I found the shred of the fabric where I had to throw the whole thing away.
No.
I could not get those on right.
And see, that's one of the nice things with the stapler. You can just pop it apart.
Right.
Alright. So. Alright. Once you let your arm hang down. Now I've got this very snug to the wrist, and it's gonna come out a bit. But really, where do you like your finished hem to go?
Finished hem just over
The wrist?
Just over the wrist.
Past your wrist bone?
Just
Just at the
past my
beginning of...
Yeah, basically
Okay.
to that bone.
So what I want you to do is, give me your hand. Just your friendly neighborhood Baroness. Nothing to worry about.
Give me your hand, Vaughn. Holding the giantest fabric shears in the room. Yeah.
I love these things, and I have a second pair.
Nice.
I got them off a Kickstarter.
Nice.
So now you can opt for nice, super tight, and then do the button loop.
Okay.
You can keep it a little bit further out. I'm going to leave this just kind of like loose here.
Good.
So that you can determine. So what I want you to do now is start moving a bit. Just, do you have movement? All right. So I want to see, I need you to do this for me for a moment, because I want you to think of, so when you're patterning sleeves for a side back seam, you want to make certain it's not on the elbow joint, because that seam will annoy you.
Oh, when you do exactly what I'm doing right now.
If you are doing a side back seam and you go, well, it's got to be here, it's got to be here, it's got to be right on that point, that seam is going to become your enemy. And you're going to feel, if you have sensory issues, that becomes insanely uncomfortable.
Well, literally, Di, do what I'm doing right now with your... Yeah. Imagine having a seam right where you're
driving me nuts.
Yeah.
Some people who do,
and I don't have sensory issues.
yeah, and people who do like felted seams or
well, and it's also when you lay your arm down like this.
Right.
You rest your hands. I happen to be one of those people raised by Southern manners.
Arms off the table.
Hands off the table. You weren't allowed to put your hands. But this is okay.
Right.
So I'm very much I do this at the table a lot. Right. I don't do this because that was not okay.
Oh no! Elbows on the table got you in big.
This was
trouble.
okay.
Yeah. Southern
That's
grandfather.
interesting.
So,
Southern grandfather.
all right, so let's see. We're going to adjust a little bit now. We're getting to, so we're pretty much zeroing in on a pretty good fit. And sleeves, I mean, I struggled with sleeves for forever. It is a lot to learn. There's a lot of literal moving parts. And I'm not trying to discount it for people who would really, but I'm, all right, so just rest your arm. I do believe.
Just move it where you need it.
I do believe that everybody has, now it would be easier if I could just staple into her, but I'm not going to do that. Because that would be mean. And the sun is out, so I'm in a good mood.
I haven't done anything to make you that mad at me lately.
She can hold on to grudges, man.
So, all right. So I'm gonna find, now this is where the sewing seam line would go, and then So I'm gonna find the ball joint, and I'm just gonna. And you know what's really, really interesting to me in the course of learning how to do these, the shape of your sleeve head and the shape of your arm is nothing like modern patterns.
Mm-hmm.
Has no bearing on it whatsoever. And it will really mess with your brain. So, okay, so what I want you to do is I want you to rest your elbow on my shoulder. As we're
Do you want the elbow on your shoulder, or you want the arm? Okay.
I want you to rest your hand. Basically, I don't want you having to hold your arm up because that becomes a little bit tiring.
But you said elbow. That's a different part of the arm than the wrist.
Arm.
Yeah. Okay.
This is a day for pedantry. I'm just saying. My morning started off with this.
Now, my friend Karin and I were making our 12th night garb and bouncing ideas off each other. And she did something that I thought when she was working her sleeve pattern to fit her dress. And I thought it was really such an incredibly devious and brilliant tactic. And when she was fitting the arm's eye to the sleeve head, she literally she did something where she didn't cut the sleeve head until she had pinned it to the arm's eye on her bodice, and then she cut her arm's eye. Now, mind you, it was a 16th century German style, but it worked, and I was just like, I want to try that at some point. It was a very inspirational. That's not a bad idea.
Actually, it's not.
It's not. That's honestly one of the biggest problems I have is getting those two pieces to mesh nicely
but
without any wrinkling or
I mean, you always want a little bit of ease for movement, always, and you can always kind of hide. You can hide it around the circumference. That's what I did. Yeah. If I want it to look smooth, you have to have movement and ease. But what she did literally was she put her bodice on, put her sleeve on, put her bodice on, and I went around with a marker on her pattern fabric, and I thought it was such a smart idea. So I'm basically, all right, I'll fix that in a second. So let's see. Now, do you like it a little bit more loose in the upper? Do you like it? I mean, you like it smooth.
I like it smooth,
but you don't like it to look like a leg of mutton.
No, I don't want leg of mutton, but I do like a little. It's a little more, little more ease than what I got on it. Right?
But taking some of the resistance out.
Because you know where I'm at. I'm out here.
Yeah, I mean, you want to be able to cook.
I work. Yeah, I work in mine.
I mean, and you want to be able to have the ability. I'm trying not to get your sleeve in here. All right. You want to have the ability to.
Yeah, I already got to order one of these. My mother wants one. She forgot she didn't buy. She's having buyer's remorse for not having gotten one.
You want to be able to knead bread if you need to.
Yes.
And that is a very specific motion.
Mhm.
Right. And trying to use large knives while you're
Mhm.
And you can, for the bodice that we were working on a few months back, you could probably use this pattern.
That'd be awesome. I did not bring it because that's not what we're working on today.
So, yeah. I do leave a little bit of bag, and that if I have it basically stapled into place, and you are comfortable, we can start. So, move around. I mean, mind you, it's not.
Oh yeah. I mean, these are the movements that I'm doing. Yeah, the bread kneading
If you
kind of stuff.
If you could be slicing onions,
Right. Or whisking.
cucumbers,
Cabbage, whatever.
She does look like she has some extra up
yeah,
in the front of her bicep.
and that'll have to. I still have to take that out. So what I'm
Okay.
going to do is I'm going to rip your sleeve off you.
That kind of looks like a sleeve.
It's starting to.
Yeah.
And what I'm going to do is
I have a very jealous parent unit that is wanting to learn how to do this. So she's got to
neener.
Yeah.
Sorry, Mom.
So you're gonna cut to those marks that you had made.
Yeah, I'm going to the clips, and it's still they're still too big, but it's a rough end. These are still a rough end.
Yeah, that's exactly what we call it in construction.
And a. Alright. I should have snipped there, but I'm going to say what I'm going to do. And so, with the modern sleeve head, you want to do this instinctively because of modern patterns. You want to do this big old high,
Right.
very flat. It's almost infinitesimal. So what I'm going to do here, that's what I wanted to do. And it's literally eyeballing stuff in. So, alright.
So right now you're cutting down to where there would be like an imaginary seam allowance beyond your staples.
Yeah, I kind of wish these were. Oh, I kind of wish these were like a hot pink or something. And then we'll find this.
Like at the white.
Well, no, this is fine. This is absolutely no. I'm just.
It's so ugly though. I couldn't see you using it for anything else.
You
I'm
know,
not a calico person.
the really funny thing, calico seems to be in, like the prairie look
I know.
is in right now.
And I'm looking at that. That was my freshman year in high school. Oh my god.
Yeah, when I was a kid, the
gunny sacks.
the adjusted roll on top gunny sacks.
Yes.
Um,
Sack dresses. Oh yeah.
And the prairie skirts and.
Mm-hmm. I still have some of those antiques.
But-
Antique patterns. I don't have them.
And because
I'm not the size I was when I was in 8th grade. Gee, go figure.
Oh, thanks to the pandemic, I'm not the size I was 3 years ago.
I'm not going to even go with when I stepped on the scale and saw today. I'm not even going to get on it.
so, and another thing when you're doing side back seams, you have to be absolutely clear right and left sleeves. They're very distinct. But if you cut double layer, you've got a mirror image all ready to roll.
Oh, okay.
If you're cutting single layer, flip the pattern. Otherwise, you will wind up with two left sleeves.
Or two right, or whatever.
So let's try this.
Oops, hold on. Finger didn't block. Finger down the side, Sam.
Did we just go backwards?
Here's a question. If you're doing this on yourself,
Uh-huh.
How do you staple behind your neck? Behind your back?
How do you staple behind your back? Let's go with that question first.
Quite literally, I guess.
Fair enough. My other question is, you have two left sleeves because you're right hand dominant and you're patterning on your left hand, right? Left arm? Yeah.
Now, I was raised by a parent who's left-handed, and I have a sister who's left-handed. So I do a number of things, I think, in terms of left hand. But yes, I am right-handed. We should probably move back in frame. We're inching.
Oh, you are inching. You're actually still pretty much there, but this is better.
Okay, this is better.
Just gives you something to edit.
Gives you something. We'll show you.
Editing.
So people, this is me in my glory. There's no fancying up me.
No, sorry, I should have said that before we started video. I haven't gotten around to learning how to edit yet. I just film and then put it up.
I just throw things at Helvy every now and again, and she edits me and lets me look good.
Nice.
Everybody should have a Helvy in their barony. I am just saying.
Well,
Thank God we do.
Oh gosh, I love her so much. I love everybody. I mean, we all have some amazing, everybody here, but she's one of the most incredible people we've had during all of this.
it's really funny. I would message her right now and ask her what she uses to edit, like what software she uses. But I'm using my phone for filming, so I can't do that.
And my phone's up in the living
Somewhere.
room somewhere, so we can't do it that way.
No, you don't have to do it right now. Because literally, I'm not going to edit this. This is just going to go
No, but
straight
I
up.
think it's fun. She's gonna laugh that
Nice.
she sees it. So she's in here. I talk to her every now and again. Oh, there she is. Here, you want to give her a call? Just